are listening to Good to Great Life Coaching Podcast with Jill Farren. And this is where we take your real life struggles and issues and we create results with tools you will use forever. And here we go. Hey, welcome to the podcast today. Today, I want to talk to you about your own self-image, and I want to talk about why I think that self-image is so important in your life. It dictates how you show up in your everyday life in way more ways than how you look. What it isn't is showing off for other people or trying to be something that you're not. Quite the opposite, in fact. It is not superficial nor self-indulgent, but in a nutshell, it is showing up as the best version of you on purpose. I talk a lot about this. I talk a lot and coach a lot about this because a lot of times I find that when we work on certain areas in our life and we bring our identity along for the ride, we're doing so much more than just one thing or one area in our life. So let's talk about your true self and the beginning of your day, how you awaken in the morning, how you wake up. What do you say to yourself at the start of the day? That's really where it even starts. And what does your routine look like? What is really important to you? And do you write in a journal? Do you exercise? Do you stretch every day? Is that something you wanted to do? Do you wear pajamas? Do you like your PJs? These questions will give you kind of like a snapshot of starting your day with what makes you delight in yourself. And that can be as simple as what pajamas you are wearing. Or are they the same ones you've been wearing for 5 years and they've got holes in it and they're faded and you don't feel amazing in them? That's a problem. So ask yourself these questions. They're kind of random and you may not even have paid attention to any of these things before, but it is about self-image, and the self-image work is really about paying attention to all of you, not just part of you. And self-image is important. So self-image is at work all of the time, my beautiful friends, even if we don't pay attention to it, it's still there. I've had clients that will say to me things like, that's not important to me, how I look. It's not important. But actually, they are making a statement with how they're putting themselves together. It's still at work, even if we don't pay attention to it. Or we throw on yesterday's stained clothes because we got to get the dog outside. All of the little decisions that we make shouldn't even count. They really shouldn't, actually, but they actually all do. All of them do. Now, having said that, I know some of you will not be happy with that, but having said that, I've had feedback on this before and I have received, while coaching on this, there has been challenges. There's been people that have challenged me saying that they just don't have time to worry about things so superficial, or they don't have the money to dress how they want to at this time in their lives, or it's just not about them, it's about the kids. And one of the most popular rebuttals is that self-image is not important. And I touched on that a minute ago. They have more important things in their life. What if I challenge those with, yes, self-image is at work, even if you don't think it is, even if your belief is not that it's not that important. So think about this. Remember, we are just thinking about it right now. It's not just the big moments, it's the small, unimportant ones too. And I think those are the most important. Did you choose the worn out t-shirt with the hole in it, or did you reach for the clean, well-fitted one? And could there possibly be a separate drawer with the tee with the hole in it for gardening or cleaning only? And did you tidy up your desk before starting your work, or are you operating in a space that feels chaotic and messy? All of that is self-image too. And could you put on some maybe candles and French music while you're prepping your dinner? I kind of threw that in there because it makes me feel fancy, and I love fancy. These tiny, seemingly insignificant choices do add up every time. And they aren't really about being judged by the outside world. They are a continuous self-affirmation of who you believe you are. And then we delve into the self-image topic. Your confidence level isn't solely dictated by how you look on the outside. It's a direct reflection of how you feel about the internal choices that you've made. So if you consistently choose the path of least resistance, so what I mean by that is the slightly sloppy, the half-hearted effort, the feeling of, okay, it's good enough, instead of my very best, you are silently reinforcing a self-image that says, I am not worth the extra effort. Like, can you imagine making a cake for your little girl or your little boy for their birthday and they just love the chocolate cake and the ice cream, and you made the cake but forgot to buy the frosting or the candles and used ice cream that was in the freezer for a year or so? You wouldn't do that. You would make another trip to the store and make sure you got what you needed because they're worth the effort. You want to make it special for them. But making do for yourself is just reinforcing you're not worth the effort. It's the same thing. And it's really not that you're trying to feel less confident. That's not what you're trying to do. It's really that the accumulation of those little unassuming kind of decisions, it creates a deep down nonverbal feeling of being not quite put together, but it will do sort of thing. And when that feeling is running underneath the surface, how can you expect to show up to a meeting, like a tough conversation or even a simple challenge, with a lot of confidence, full of confidence? Well, you can't. And you've already handicapped yourself in a small way by letting your internal self-care slide. I remember years ago when my daughters were about 5 and 6, and I dropped them off at their babysitters. And back then I remember I was always running around in the mornings late, always late, getting my daughters ready and fed and dressed. It was a harried time. And it was a battle sometimes too. And I remember that me getting ready for me looked like this. I would throw on what I thought would be acceptable. And so what I mean by that is that I usually wore black pants because they made me feel thinner. And I didn't think anybody would notice if I wore them back to back, right? If you wear black pants, I'm thinking that they wouldn't notice, oh, she wore them yesterday. Anyway, that's the thing. That was my my thoughts on these black pants that I was wearing. And I'm going to share this story, but do not choke if you have your mouth full. I'm warning you. Okay, so this one day I dropped off my daughters at their babysitter's house. They loved her, by the way. And another side note, she and I are still really close to this day. And my daughters are now 39 and 40. So this was a long time ago. And I dropped them off and drove off to my work. And at the time, I was an assistant to appraisers. These appraisers appraised homes and needed them typed up back in the old days, like where there were typewriters and carbon copies and carbon paper, all of that. And this one day, I ran in like a bat out of hell. I was late and took off my boots. I hung up my coat. I turned on the music that ran through the office, through the intercom, and sat down at my desk. Okay, so I was all set, right? And it was my job to kind of answer phones and type and order appraisals, all the things that an admin would do. I did. And so in this one day, it was later in the afternoon, and I was headed back to one of the offices to deliver an appraisal to one of the appraisers. And Suzette, who was my supervisor at the time, I will never forget this. She said, Jill, what's that? And I said, what? And she walked over to me and she bent down, and at the bottom, oh my God, I can't believe I'm saying this. And at the bottom of my pant leg, she pulled, I guessed what she thought might have been a fabric softener from the dryer. And when she pulled it out, it was my underwear that I wore the day before with the same pants I had on. And we were both howling, like dying. We were laughing so hard. I picked them up and had them in my purse faster than you could ever utter the word underwear. I was laughing with her, of course. Like, I was chirped about this for a long time. And, you know, I was laughing, but I was underneath appalled at myself. And this event remained to be a pivotal moment in my life. This kind of neglect hits hard in every single area in my life. And the confidence, the self-respect, even the way we offer our own opinions and set our own boundaries. This is basic. And I know that many of you didn't quite hit rock bottom in this way, in this way, but I challenge you to look at the way you honor you every single day and then dial up the dimmer switch to the highest. Sometimes we will turn the dimmer switch down really low to make other people feel better about themselves. That's not your job. Your job is to turn up the dimmer switch to the highest level it can go. And even that one little bit will speak to you and will delight you in every purposeful way. This is about delighting in the way you do dress for yourself, the way you do show up, whether it's a messy bun, but you've done it purposefully. And the natural look that you love, you do it on purpose. And you get to pick what makes you feel phenomenal in what you wear. It doesn't have to be fancy. It could be, though. How you style yourself according to what you love and setting up the time in your schedule so ruthless that you are on top to get yourself ready in a way that allows you to show up as the very, very best version of yourself. And what is interesting is that confidence isn't something you have to wait for. It's something you decide. And why am I bringing up confidence anyway? Because when you spend the time and the purpose on yourself to get yourself ready and out the door, when you do it as to how you feel the best and how you feel, if you look in the mirror and you think, yes, I feel like I spent time on myself, it gives you a little bit of confidence, a little bit of extra confidence. It's something that you decide on purpose. And we know that the way you look is only one of the markers that do help with your confidence, but it still does help with your confidence. And every single decision you make today, from what you eat for breakfast to how well you prepare for a task, is a vote for the person you want to become. And the work is doing that today with what you decide. When we operate with that type of intentionality, from routine to putting ourselves together the way we feel our best, it will really kickstart a higher level of confidence, even when we are by ourselves. Like if I don't see somebody for the whole day, I still dress for myself. And we do it for us because we matter. And that means making the choice to feel put together, not for other people's approval, but strictly for our own. Our own internal self-image deserves that respect. What I found for me is by looking at my small decisions as mini investments in my confidence account. And it sounds so kind of cliche. What's one tiny unimportant decision I can make right now just to feel a little bit more put together? And these little tiny things make a big difference. This self-image thing that I'm talking about today is only about how you feel, not what anyone else thinks about your style, what you're wearing, how you do your makeup. It's all about how you feel, that you intentionally love, how you got ready, and how you've shown up for yourself on purpose. That one thing alone can get the ball rolling in so many other areas of your life, even when it comes to up-leveling and becoming who you want to become. My belief is that we are all capable of growing more in every area of our lives, no matter what and where we are right now. I've talked about self-image with many a client, and what I found in many cases is that my client doesn't have a clear picture of what makes them feel put together in the first place. And they've said, I don't have a style. This is not what's important to me. I always like to say, you are showing up in a style now, whether you think you are or you're not. And my argument here is, yes, you definitely do. But we have to just realize what it is and what makes you feel comfortable, and rocking who you are on purpose. Styling is not just about looking good. there is more that comes out of it. And we start noticing unwavering confidence and respect that leads to clarity about you and the audacity to try new things for yourself. Sometimes it's like going into a store and trying on different style coats and picking one that just, you're like, wow, I didn't expect to love this, but I do. And just trying new things on for yourself and ditching what doesn't work. And you'll become much more clear than you were before. The other challenges that will stop us from ourself is that we are critical about our bodies and don't bother because defeat took them hostage, or when our clients have been playing the waiting game. I will wait until I lose weight. I will wait until my kids are older. I will wait till I make more money, till I meet my partner. My message is this: let's find out what sets your soul on fire now, and let's get ready for who you are becoming, not who you were. It's about moving forward, moving the needle forward. Now, this is a big one. Write this down. The decisions you make when you are working on the best version of yourself, your self-image is being practiced, and you're feeling really good. These are very different decisions than if you would make them if you are not the best version of yourself. So for example, if you're schlepping away and waiting until you start dating or meeting the partner to spend your life with, you will pick someone that will match up with who you are now, not with who you think you're going to be later. Having said that, if you are really happy with your self-image, great. You will pick what you are looking for, what will match up with you as to who the person you're becoming. I'm going to give you an example. So think about going to the grocery store with $50 for a week of groceries. What would you buy? And if you went in with $300 for a week of groceries, would you change up what you would buy for the week? Probably, right? So it depends on how you show up or how much money you have or whatever the topic is at hand that you choose for yourself. If you're up-leveled, you're picking that up-leveled, whatever it is. If you're not, if you have this much, you will pick this much. So you're just living and making decisions based on where you are now. Will really do yourself a solid by picking who you're becoming. So showing up now for who you are becoming. So this podcast is really about self and self-image, and I don't want to stray too far from the topic. For me, I love dressing up. I love my short hair. I love wearing makeup. I love tall, black, shiny boots. I learned that from trying things and mental noting what I love wearing and how I feel when I'm wearing them. And I remember I was a store manager years ago for Rogers Video. The top was a burgundy type golf shirt, and we had a name tag. The bottoms were black pants. I've really worn a lot of black pants in my life. And I had two pair exactly the same for work. So they were exactly the same. And they shrunk and they were slightly floods over. That's kind of an oldie saying, but they were too short. And I felt terrible wearing these pants. And I remember trying to stay behind the sales counter as much as I could because they were a little too tight as well. And those days I would have just said, these are for work. It doesn't matter. But it does matter because we are diminishing our personal self-power by showing up this way. And it's the same when we get our PJs on, and this counts, and you matter all of the time, not just when you're getting ready to go to an event or we are meeting people or having our photos taken. It matters all of the time. Ask yourself this: why would I get ready for an event? Who is this for? And why wouldn't I get ready just being with me? Just like anything else, every other practice, skill building, we get really good at over time. And over time and practice, it gets easier and faster, and we become less able to accept less of ourselves. It gets part of our routine of how we do things. It's just building the skill. It's just learning and it becoming second nature. Like, do you have a certain look you love? Are you artsy, super casual? Are you fancy or sporty? What am I wearing and how do I show up when I feel most confident and powerful? Ask yourself that. Ask yourself these questions. I'm going to ask them again. Do you have a certain look you love? Are you artsy? Are you super casual? Are you fancy or sporty? What am I wearing and how do I show up when I feel the most confident and powerful? Ask yourself. So finally, I want to note how the closet can help too. So we've established that your self-image is always on, whether you know it or not. And now let's talk about one of the most immediate, tangible ways you can start reinforcing a positive self-image, your closet. If you open your closet right now and think, I have nothing to wear, the real problem isn't a lack of clothes. It's a lack of clarity. And you have a closet full of clothes for a dozen different versions of yourself, probably. And most of them are versions you don't even like. So here's a two-step process to ruthlessly, effectively, and being really confident to find your style and declutter your life. And this helps in so many areas. So phase 1, it's the 3-second style test. If you don't find your style by scrolling through these magazines, you find it by observing your own joy. Like, I love that. So here's how to do the 3-second style test. Do an emotional inventory. So grab a pen and paper, and over the next week, every time you put on an outfit and you feel genuinely great and confident and sharp, look in the mirror and write down 3 things about that outfit. How it feels, it fits like a glove, it's cozy, it's me. The color palette, what color it is, navy, black, white, earthy tones, whatever it is. And then the other one is silhouette, like what it does. Is it fitted? Is it a flowy? Is it oversized? Defined waist? All of that, you want to kind of write it down. And number 2, the common thread. So after a week, look at your list. You're going to see patterns. These patterns are your style. They are the clothes that align with your highest confidence. That is your compass. This is your compass. You now know what to keep, what to buy, and what to get rid of. Phase 2, the ruthless closet cleanse. So we're going to get very ruthless. I do this with my calendar too. This is where we get tough. Ruthless. Remember the principle. Your clothes are an investment in your self-image. And why would you keep an investment that makes you feel poor? So every item out of your closet, try it on one by one. You are only allowed 3 piles. The hell yes pile, the keeper pile, and that is for items that pass the 3-second test from phase 1. They fit perfectly, they align with your new style compass, and you feel genuinely good wearing them right now. And there's no someday excuses, okay? And then number 2, there's the hell no pile, the donation pile. So this is for, ask yourself, how do you feel when you wear it? Sloppy, awkward, ugly. If the answer is any other than confident, it goes in that pile. And this pile includes anything with the price tag still on it. It doesn't matter if it has a price tag if you've never worn it. Anything that doesn't fit or anything that reminds you of a version of yourself you're trying to leave behind. And the biggest step, get this bag out of your house today and do not let it sit there and allow your doubt to creep in about it. And number 3, the repair, reconsider pile. And this pile is small. It's for high quality items. I have a jacket that is a riding jacket, and it is gorgeous, and it is over 25 years old, but it will still, every time I wear it, even today, I get compliments on it, and the buttons are beautiful, and the lining is gorgeous, and I've had it repaired a couple of times, and it's worth it for me. So high quality items that just need a tail or a wash or a missing button. And deadline. If you haven't fixed it in 2 weeks, it automatically moves to the donation pile. By doing all of these things, you're not just clearing out your clothes. You are really clearing out old identity clutter. And remember, we're building a new, fresher and an up-leveled identity. And that comes along for the ride. You are physically creating space for the person you want to be. And you're stocking your wardrobe with only confidence-boosting uniforms. This is really fun to do too. If you made it through all the way to the closet cleanse and you can practice the tools and get ready every single damn day, this is a new skill basically that you're perfecting. And we can keep stacking and stacking on these skills that will really help you. And you'll start to realize that it's not as frivolous as you might have thought at the beginning. And this is really, truly a gateway to building success after success after success, because we are not just getting ready. This is about so much more. It's about confidence, empowerment, and trusting yourself. And in case you missed it, welcome to the best version of you. Now go for it and have a beautiful week, my friends. And until next time.
Hello, and thank you for taking the time to listen to the Good to Great Life Coaching Podcast with Jill Farren. If you like this podcast, please take the time to like and subscribe, and feel free to leave any comments and look below for the contact information if you would like to connect with Jill directly. Just a reminder, this podcast is for educational purposes only. This podcast is not a substitute for professional care. This podcast is provided with the understanding that it does not constitute medical or professional advice or services. If you are looking for help in your journey, it is important that you seek out a qualified practitioner. If you would like to work with Jill for her guidance, please email her at jill@jillfarren.com to book a discovery call. That's Jill, Jill, at jillfarren.com, JILLFARREN.com. Have a wonderful day, evening, or night, depending on when you catch this.